Before I sat down to play several hours of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, community developer Grace Orlady set the stage. Quote, "We want to make sure the player lives the life of an elite Special Forces hunter," she said. Well, I'm pretty sure real Special Forces don't stare down former allies turned maniacal supervillains on private islands overrun by weaponized drones, but, well, if they did, I suppose we'd never know about it, so sure, let's go with it. Stay tuned for my impressions from both campaign and Ghost War PvP multiplayer.
Only one hostile left standing.
Cloud 1-1, this is Weaver, come in, over. This is Weaver, come in, over.
Anything?
Ugats.
Let's get this out of the way so we can move on to more important stuff. Breakpoint Story, based on what I've seen so far, is going to be laughably bad. Ex-Punisher John Bernthal is an ex-ghost turned wolf, and it seems chock full of all the usual cliches. Good guys turning bad, friends turning against each other, etc. But forget about that because it's not why you're going to play Breakpoint.
That class is bulletproof.
The super chill, open-ended structure of the game is. Ghost Recon's developers made a point to say, we're not just making a better version of Wildlands before we played, but it certainly shares some DNA. Like with Wildlands, the sentiment I came away with after 6 or so hours of playtime was this. Breakpoint is going to be a fantastic vehicle through which 4 friends can link up, do a bunch of fun missions, and shoot the breeze. Sure, it's deeper and more nuanced than Wildlands, but at its core, players will probably get the same good thing out of it. In Breakpoint, a cave in the middle of the island called Erewhon serves as your base of operations, and it's there that you'll take missions, launch into Ghost War PvP mode, and more. When you're out on the Aroa Island proper, there's plenty to do. Following story missions means you'll see plenty of Bernthal, mostly in flashbacks in the early part of the campaign I saw, but that's hardly all there is to it. Various faction missions and general Aroa missions are just a click away, and what makes them fun is that unless you specifically enable guided mode, Breakpoint won't tell you where you're supposed to go. You'll have to use in-world clues about your overall objective to obtain intel that will lead you to your ultimate goal. For instance, you might have to talk to a particular NPC in one area that leads you to get information off of a computer in another. This clever system is even utilized for some weapon upgrades. Certain intel you'll find out in the world will give you a choice of a perk, such as a new weapon blueprint, a bivouac in that spot, bivouacs being important because they allow you to gear up, save your progress, and get temporary stat boosts before an encounter, or something else. And you'll upgrade your stats and gear along the way too. While you're on these detective missions, you can choose to travel on foot, boat, dirt bike, dune buggy, pickup truck, helicopter, etc. You'll encounter enemy hotspots along the way, of course, but even those can be approached multiple ways. Want to sneak around picking people off from a distance with a sniper rifle, or go up close with your combat knife? Go for it. Want to do what I did, which is to parachute out of your team's chopper and try to land directly on the tall radio tower you've been tasked with getting to, setting off a hornet's nest of enemy activity in the process? You can do that too.
Unclear.
I also played an hour of Ghost War PvP multiplayer. Ghost Recon has been the only series I've ever really been comfortable using a sniper rifle in, and it just feels so good in Breakpoint. I love taking Overwatch and calling out enemy locations for my teammates, and yes, there's an in-game ping system too. I played on 3 of the 6 launch maps on both elimination and sabotage modes. Skell Port is my favorite so far, as it's long and narrow, and thus snipers can be extremely useful to their team.
Target down.
Sabotage, one team on offense has to plant a bomb and the other on defense has to defuse it, was great on R&D Center too, thanks to the numerous strategies each team could employ. While Ghost War felt the most classic Ghost Recon to me, the open world campaign seems like it's going to be a really enjoyable social experience for small groups of friends. Sure, you can run it all solo, but based on my time with Breakpoint, you'll be missing out on a bit of the fun if you do. Wildlands aside, no other military shooter feels quite like Breakpoint, and that unique vibe should serve it well. For more on Ghost Recon Breakpoint, check out our month-long IGN First content from earlier this year. And for everything else, stick with IGN.